Hello, hello.
Hello, happy Thursday. Welcome, everybody. I am David. This is the Queen Bee, Stephanie McPhail. We're excited to come to you tonight, as always, on Thursdays, 9:30 Eastern Time. And we're going to do something a little bit different tonight. Being that we're known as the toxic relationship recovery experts, a lot of what we talk about is working through the pain, right? Breaking those cycles, getting through the muck, and starting to pull yourself out of these toxic relationships and patterns you've been in. We've come to realize, and this has come up a few times in the group lately, that some people wonder if a better life is even possible for them. And not only in the healing process is it important to break free of the old pain and move away from that, but it's also really important to create a compelling vision for your future. And far too often we see people so beat up, so broken down, suffering the after effects of toxic relationships that they've stopped dreaming. And some people feel like in fact, we had someone in the group say, "Oh, that's really great for you. You guys are doing so well, but you're blessed. I don't think it's possible for me." And we hear this theme come up often enough. So we really wanted to kind of talk to you tonight about what's on the other side. And in particular, that it's not a unicorn kind of situation. We've discovered, not only through our own work on ourselves, but also working with literally hundreds of clients around the world for years now, that even the person who's the most skeptical, as long as they have a shred of hope and a willingness to try something new, great things can happen. So we're excited that you're tuning in. We're going to jump into it and talk about the good stuff, right? Like how great life can be. And again, we're living the dream, but we're not special. And our goal is to show you that, not to say you have to have the life that we have, but a better life is not only possible for you, but with the right support, it can be a virtual certainty. So why don't we dive in? If you're ready to dive in the comments. This is going to be interactive, by the way. I'll just sort of tee this up. We're going to talk a little bit about our story, the stories of some of the people we work with, not only what we consider a good life to be, but some of the keys and tips and distinctions we've made that have allowed us to shift to that. And then we're going to share real briefly a little bit about some exciting stuff we got going on. And then we're going to open it up for Q&A towards the end if there are any questions. So Steph, why don't you jump in? A lot of people know you. They've been following us for a while. We've got a lot of people who are new here as well. So why don't you start off and share a little bit about, maybe a little bit about where you came from, but how you got to where you are, and more importantly, what is life like for you now?
Well, so first of all, thanks for that introduction, David. And thank you for everybody who's tuning in. For those of you, this is your first time again. And I'm just going to say this also, if you are watching this as a replay, make sure you still tag David and I so that we can answer any questions that you have. 100%. But definitely, the more you interact, the more we see what you're saying, and the more we can really gear towards what the comments are. So Absolutely. Definitely feel free to interact, whether it's live or as replay. So in saying that, my question before I start to share my story, because I want to hear about you, is anyone watching right now, have you ever maybe watched us or watched other people that are sharing about healing from toxic relationships? Have you ever watched and said to yourself, like, it's really not possible for me? Maybe that's those people. Maybe that's not possible for someone like me. Comment me in the comments if you've ever thought that to yourself. Maybe you're still in the toxic relationship. Maybe you've left. Maybe you've done it a few times. But no matter where you're at, has anyone that's watching right now, comment me if you've ever thought to yourself, even if just for a second, I don't know if it's possible. I'm too old. It's not possible for me to change. I've never experienced anything. There's no good guys out there. It's only for the lucky few. Any of those kinds of things. Does that resonate for anyone? Comment me in the comments. I want to make sure that everyone can hear and see us too.
Yes. And yeah, this should be pinned now. So we should.
Okay. Awesome. Cool. All right. Good. Okay. I see some me's.
We got a couple me's. All right.
This is really huge, and we see this come up a lot. In fact, we were talking about this today. So I want to share briefly, like we said, we're going to share my story. We're going to share David's story and some of our client stories, because I really would like for you to leave this today and start putting yourself in that place of possibilities, because we never know. But what we do know is if we stay doing exactly the same thing we're doing right now, we're going to end up with the same kinds of results. So like many of you who's watching this right now, I was someone who was stuck in the cycle of toxic relationships. I went right from one toxic relationship into another one. I saw my parents fighting a lot. I saw a lot of discord growing up. And when I started dating, I just never really seemed to find great guys. There always seemed to be something going on with them. There was always some kind of excuse. And I felt like I was too much for a lot of these people, that maybe I was interested in them and then they weren't interested back, or when I was interested in someone, something really messed up what ended up happening. And then I would try really hard to make it work. So I kind of just kept getting into those cycles with people. And I got to a point in my life where I said, I just, maybe there's just no good guys out there. Maybe there just isn't the right fit for me. So I met someone, again, after years of just following into one toxic relationship into another one. I met someone where on paper, he seemed like he was a good guy. He had some interesting things that were in common with me. He had some expectations that he wanted for his life. And I thought, okay, there's some red flags. But again, because my history had been never seeing really healthy, I was told all the time that relationships took work and that they were not always easy. So I said, okay, well, he's got some of the things. I'm going to deal with some of his temper, because I grew up with a man with a temper, and my father with a temper, wonderful, wonderful man, but he did have a temper, but he was also had other great qualities. So I kind of was like, I took that all together as one package. And so I met this person, and who ended up, long story short, being the worst of any partner I'd ever had. But we ended up getting married, and there were all sorts of red flags before that. And on our wedding night, he actually strangled me till I thought I was going to die. And because I grew up in a religious household, I was married. I wanted to stay married. So I needed to do, in my mind, do whatever it took to make the relationship work. So I stayed. I would kick him out. I would try to make him understand, but I wanted to stay married. I wanted to try to read the book, like watch the video, get the right therapist, do all the things to try to make this relationship work. Because here's the thing, as professional women, we are very good at creating results, at finding reasons why things aren't working and then fixing them. That's what we're good at. But when it comes to relationships, we can't do that for somebody else. We can't make someone into the potential that we saw, and then we can't make them into that. That has to be up to them. So I stayed in that relationship for 5 years. There was abuse that continued the entire time, kept trying to make it work. And then one day, after he quit his job as a waiter, because he had quit his other full-time position and I was taking care of that entire household, and he went and got fired from his job, I said, sweetheart, why don't you go back and try to get your job back? And he said, just like typical blank, blank Stephanie, not to support her husband. And it was in that moment that I said, you know what? I don't know what else is out there, but I have tried anything and everything to make this person happy. I can't do this anymore. And a friend of mine who had seen how bad the relationship was and had offered her home, I said, you know what? Can I stay at your place? And she said, okay. And so I went through the divorce process. Things got worse before they got better, but I went through the divorce and I was like, okay, I am free, but I didn't have the right support. I didn't do the right things that I needed. So I just went through a depression. Things just got really bad for me. One day I ended up spraining my ankle after just everything that could possibly go wrong, going wrong. Again, still with the belief of relationships are not possible for me, at least not healthy ones. And so I was thinking all of these things, and just every single thing kept going wrong in my life. And I end up in the emergency room with my ex-husband as my person of contact. I didn't realize I needed to change that at work, and the doctor. And they came in and said, okay, you have a severely sprained ankle. You're going to have other people, take care of you, help you, whatever. And I was like, are you kidding me? And I look around and I'm looking at my ex-husband, I'm looking at the doctor, and I start crying. And they're like, what's the matter? And it was in that moment that I realized that I had to be my own knight in shining armor. I had to be the one that was going to save myself. I had to stop waiting for other people to come and save me. And I had to be the one that fixed it. Now, that didn't mean do it on my own, because that's what I had tried before. So I went through a process. I got a team together. If you're someone that you're in this position, this is definitely something I recommend. I made a decision that I was going to do whatever it took to create a different life for myself. I got a therapist. I got a coach. I started hanging out with healthier people. I got rid of people that were unhealthy. I started rediscovering who I was, learning who I was and what I wanted for myself. And in that process, created a life that I was so happy to wake up to every day, that I knew that if I was going to be with somebody else, they were going to have to be pretty darn special. And so I made sure I really got to the point where I was like, I don't care if I'm ever in a relationship again. I am totally fine if I'm single for the rest of my life. And I was living my life that way. So when I did meet men, I really wasn't trying to be anything other than myself. It was more of me trying to make sure that they were the right fit for me instead of me trying to prove myself to somebody else. And of course, that's when David came in. And I let him show me who he was. I wasn't trying to force it. I wasn't needy. I didn't need him in the relationship. I didn't need him to be my partner, but I wanted him to be because we became best friends as he showed me who he was. And so kind of the cool thing about this whole story is that now our anniversary is actually coming up on Monday. And so
8 years, baby.
8 years. And so because of all that work that I did, I was able to find someone that had so much in common with me, that had so many things that were on the same level. We have 2 beautiful children. We're lucky enough to help people together now heal. Someone who thought it wasn't possible to heal at all. I'm now married to someone who's not only a good partner, but also someone who sees the vision that I have in helping other people heal as well. So a true partner in every sense of the word, to be able to really share what life is like. You know, there's times where we're up at night just laughing and talking, and all of a sudden it's like, all right, babe, it's like, you know, we'll see each other tomorrow. We can finish this conversation later on. Or last night, you know, you said, you're like, I just love that we can make each other laugh. You know, those are the kinds of things that no matter what comes up, because life isn't always perfect, but having that person that can laugh with you, that can cry with you, that can support you when you need it, that can be your voice when you don't have one, that you can share those wonderful best friend qualities with, and get to actually have sex with them too.
Bonus.
It's a bonus. It's a beautiful combination. But again, before I did that work, I thought that all of this life that I'm now currently living was for somebody else. So again, this whole night is all going to be not just about us and sharing it, but I think it's really important for you to hear it from me, that someone who's here sharing about toxic relationships, I didn't just read a book about it. I wrote books about it now at this point. Again, never could have imagined that would be me, but I am no different than any of you that's watching this right now. So on that note, I actually want to send it over to David, because David's got a pretty interesting story as well, from where he started to where he's at now.
Thank you. Yeah, hopefully, and give some likes and loves in the comments for Stephanie. Those of you who've been watching us for a while have come to love her like I do. And you know, what's so refreshing is to be able to connect with somebody who has the absolute passion and mission to serve others because of what she's been through, because she can understand and empathize. And while the details of all of our backstories might be a little different, a lot of people connect with us and with Stephanie in particular because they see themselves in her, driven for more, wanting a better life, struggling with the old beliefs and patterns and behaviors that were thrust upon them, wanting love, but maybe looking for it in the wrong places, and then dealing with that dark place, that downward spiral for many years, very often, and just knowing that there's someone you can really connect with and empathize with is really so powerful. So yeah, if her story resonates for you, let us know in the comments. And you know, I used to be someone who didn't really talk much about my story. And I've shared it for those of you who've been following. You might have heard some more of the details. In the interest of time, I'm going to keep it somewhat abridged. But the reason I found that it's important to share is because if there's at least one person, as far as I'm concerned, who resonates with my story and maybe feels now like I used to feel, and starts to understand how different things are, you know, my hope is that that can inspire even one person to hold on, because things got pretty dark for me. So briefly, I remember growing up as a young boy, always immersed in fantasy. I've always been a dreamer and always had a sense, even though I couldn't describe it in words, that life was supposed to be a magical adventure, that we were here to love, that we were here to share good things. And again, this is even before I had a frame of reference. The world hadn't gotten its hooks into me yet. So coming from that place, while I was reasonably intelligent and did well, easily enough in school for the first few years, I started to feel like I didn't fit. I felt like I was trying to be shoved into a box, into a mold, And I started sort of rebelling against that and getting detached. I felt that I wasn't recognized and appreciated for who I was. I was told to stop being a dreamer, focus and all this stuff. And my mind just wanted to go to fantastical, far off places. So not having that validation before I learned self validation, I came to a place of self loathing. And again, I want to share a little bit of the before, but more of the after. So through my healing process, I went from someone who really just hated themselves, and this pattern culminated in literal decades of suicidal depression. I actually spent my 16th birthday in a mental hospital for suicidal depression, to a place where I have deep self-love and acceptance. And I also want you to understand a distinction, a little tip here. If you have low self-esteem, it's not about swinging the pendulum to arrogance and conceit. It's more of a balanced place in the middle where you have a sense of deep love, but also humility, a place where you're so accepting of yourself that you no longer are swayed by the so-called good opinions of others. That was a really important distinction that set me free. Being able to live for myself, being able to be authentic. And then when I filled myself up with love, I had more to share with others instead of just being nice in expectation of what I could get out of it. I went from doubt in my worth, my how much I deserved, what I was actually even capable of, to a real sense of confidence. Again, not arrogance, not feeling like I knew all the answers, but a sense that I was okay and that I could figure things out. I wasn't in constant fight or flight and fear mode. Mm-hmm. I went from needy in relationships, always paranoid and afraid. What if she doesn't like me? Or she said that, what does that mean? Or is she going to cheat on me? To being emotionally self-reliant, sufficient within myself so I could enter into relationships without neediness, which then allows the other person to be themselves. There was no more of that emotional economy, that back and forth, that fear and distrust. I went from a place of just being apathetic, kind of blasé about life, to a sense of having a real purpose, a mission, and a passion. And I can tell you right now, if you haven't found something that you're passionate about, something that you can forget, time is passing, and immerse yourself into it and follow that bliss until you can follow it no more, you're missing out and you're not going to have the best life. Discovering and cultivating and following my passion has literally saved my life. I used to be selfish, self-centered. Again, I could be charming and friendly and helpful. I wasn't totally self-centered, but I was really more looking out for me, again, out of fear, out of necessity. It was a coping mechanism. I couldn't trust other people. I went from that to, again, being secure in myself and being able to immerse myself in service to others, doing what I love. And to me, and lean into this, because to me, that is the key to abundance. So that's why this healing process is so important. Cut ties with anything that makes you feel less than. Begin to see yourself as if you were the perfect, loving parent we all wish we had. Mm-hmm. You are awesome. You are amazing, not in spite of, but because of your mistakes, mm-hmm. right? A good person isn't someone who showed up perfect and lived a flawless life. It's someone who's made mistakes, but learned, grown, and developed deeper sense of empathy and compassion because of those mistakes. So I get to do this now. My life now, being able to be in partnership with Stephanie, share the tools that have worked for me. And I don't claim to be a guru, but what's worked for me to help transform my life, being able to share that with others. And then I get to witness dramatic transformations that literally bring Steph and I to tears on almost a daily basis, because it's so gratifying and so fulfilling. In terms of the relationship, again, I used to be, self-centered, selfish, inconsiderate, sometimes rude. There were times, I'm not proud of this, but in the interest of transparency, there were a couple girlfriends that I cheated on. I was not self-sufficient in a relationship. I was always paranoid and worried. I had trouble trusting. Now in our relationship, it feels calm. Mm-hmm. Healthy love feels calm. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, that's kind of boring. Like, I like the bad boys because it's exciting. Well, the cool thing is we have an exciting relationship as well. You know, do you want the crack cocaine kind of love? That feels real good for a little while. Or do you want what I call the green smoothie kind of love, where it's more like it's a steady, but also really nourishing and good. So we have a true partnership. I can be myself. She accepts me for who I am and encourages me to become the best version of myself. And likewise, we don't need to see eye to eye on everything. In fact, there are distinct differences between us, but we still respect one another and don't feel that we need the other person to see things our way in order to feel valid. So it's true partnership. And again, we have a unique point of view, but a synergy that helps us enjoy our relationship and serve our clients at a high level. Again, accepting one another for who we are, yet encouraging us to be better. It's very liberating. We don't try to control each other. She wants to go out, she can go out. I'm not blowing up her phone, texting all the time. We give each other the space to be free. And we're together, not because we control one another or manipulate or try to say, oh, we set each other free, and then we choose each other. And to me, as far as a relationship goes, that is priceless. I knew, because I had done the work before I met her, that I was not going to be able to try to control her or anything at all. She almost broke up with me 3 times. I said, you know what? I'm just going to enjoy the time that we have together. No pressure, whatever. And again, the rest is history. So I just want to kind of, in summary, say that I came from a place of real darkness. Now, when I look back on my old life, it feels like another lifetime or literally someone else's life. I seldom look back. On the occasions I do, it almost feels like a movie. Like there's no longer the painful emotional attachments that kept me focused and stuck in that cycle when I was in it. And I want to just share in closing before we kind of move on, some tips that I've picked up along the way. Journaling. This is an opportunity to think about what you're thinking about. So many of us go through life on autopilot, just churning through the thoughts in these automatic programs. But an unexamined life is not worth living. And if you start to take a look at the shadow stuff, bring it into the light of your awareness, you can start to notice whether or not it's working and start to make changes. Another big one that worked for me, start to ask better questions. I'll give you a quick example of that. Why are they treating me this way? When a better question might be, why am I allowing that? Right? Instead of, why is this happening to me? You can ask yourself, what can I learn from this? The reason that's so important is your subconscious mind will look for it. It's like artificial intelligence almost. You tell it what you want to focus on, it'll look for answers to support what you're putting in there. So it's super important to start asking yourself better questions. And again, once you start examining your life, then you can start asking better questions. And the final one, which was really, really powerful for me, is the willingness and then the ability to forgive and let go. Getting past that myth that, oh, no, you forgive the person. That says that you say it's all right for them to do that. No, you can forgive someone from a distance. All right. Closure is a mindset, not a conversation. More importantly, though, is forgiveness of myself. We're not perfect. We're human beings. We're meant to make mistakes. All right. Successful people have failed more often than unsuccessful people have even tried. So take heart. If you've made mistakes, if you're screwing up, if you fall down, get back up again. Forgive yourself. You can shift from criticism to noticing and letting go and forgiving yourself and others for all wrongs is, and someone says hard to do. It can be. But again, we found the tools that work. Our clients in the inner circle have access to some really powerful things that we've found to work. We're staying high level right now. But the peace of mind is absolutely priceless. And it's a way to set yourself free, stop agonizing over the past, worrying about the future, and really appreciate and accept everything you have to be grateful for. And these beliefs, once you change them, because they're always a self-fulfilling prophecy, they're going to move you in the right direction, even when your conscious mind is thinking about, what am I going to have for lunch?
So thank you, David. That was really helpful. And you shared your story, you shared some tips. You got to take a drink after all that stuff. So was that helpful for anybody who's watching? Because again, so you've got my perspective. David went into not only his perspective, but then other tips and tools that you could use as well. And like we always say, if you are coming to these lives, definitely bring a way to take notes, because there's always some gems that people can actually use. as they start going through all of this. So what I want to do at this point is I want to start sharing some of the stories, because again, it's not about David and I. We're literally only sharing our stories to inspire you to realize that you can create something for yourself too. 100%. You have the potential, for yourself to create it. I can't do it for you, just like we couldn't do it for any of our exes or some of you current partners, but you can decide for yourself to do something different. So the first person I'm going to introduce, and this is just a little clip from a little interview that we did, is going to be Leah. Leah is actually a current client who did a live with us talking about really how she was feeling stuck. Like she didn't know what to do with herself. She had just ended a relationship. She was literally crying every single day, felt like she had wasted a lot of time on this relationship, and she really didn't know what to do. So I'm going to just play this little clip for you and let you hear what she has to say.
Something that actually not stuck in the moment. I was stuck in the past because all of the pain I was feeling was the past and bringing that past right into the present moment. So now being more in the present moment, being more in the mindset of what a beautiful future I can have, and with the confidence that it will happen, and it is happening. Not it will happen, it is happening. And I don't know where it's going to be. I don't have that firm picture yet, but there are parts of it that I feel, and it's coming to.
And that's really, we love hearing all these great things, but for Leah now, I mean, her whole world has shifted. And again, she was just like you when she started. She was like, I don't know. I'm not in my 20s anymore. I've been doing this a long time. I've never really created what it is that I wanted. Is it really possible? And here she is, where she knew, she admits that she was stuck. And then now she's been able to get out of that place. And now there's only possibility for her. So imagine what that would be like if it's like, instead of like, oh, I'm stuck doing the same thing, or I have to be in survival mode. Now, instead, you can actually be in creation mode and create that life where you're just open to all the possibilities for yourself.
Right on.
So the next one, let's give a thumbs up and some love, likes and love to our girl Leah for sharing that. And again, we did do that whole training a few weeks ago. So it was about an hour training, definitely worth a watch, but that was a good little piece of it. The next person I'm going to introduce is Elsa. Now, Elsa came to us so depressed, she literally could not get out of bed. She basically started working with us saying, you know what? I don't know what else to do. I've tried the therapy. I've tried watching videos and things like that. Literally nothing at all has helped me. And she decided to invest in herself, do the work, and she started creating shifts in her life that she never could have imagined. And she pushed back a little bit in the beginning, because partially that subconscious belief that it's not possible, even though she had invested in herself to work with us, there was still that piece that was fighting against the possibility of her doing these changes. And as she allowed herself to open up and accept these changes, start putting into practice what she was learning, everything started shifted. So here's her just talking about her opening up, sharing her story and what's going on.
Not only do you heal yourselves, but quite possibly you also help heal those people who you share your story with. And that's why I'm here sharing my story with all of you, because my hope for all of you is, one, to give you hope, to let you know that change is possible. And not only will you be a survivor, but you can be a thriver, because nobody just wants to be a survivor. You want to be able to move on with your life and live your best life to your best ability, and get rid of all that negative energy and just be who you want to be. That person, if you're meant to be a person of love or whatever, kindness, whatever, just, and to also impart that gift to someone else. Because honestly, if it wasn't for me meeting Stephanie and David, and Stephanie sharing her story and with her workbook and all of that, then maybe I wouldn't be here. But it was.
And that's such a great story.
It's a great story. Again, it's just a little snippet inside, but she is now in a wonderful relationship. She is hiking mountains. She's going to music concerts. She's really living the heck out of her life. And we just love watching the updates of all the great things that she's doing and sharing. And again, having this great relationship where she doesn't need it. You know, she says all the time, this is someone who adds to my life, where before she was fighting for someone who was actually abusive. And now here she is totally, I'm not going to say carefree, but just so filled with love and excitement for life that this person is just fully adding to her experience.
Yeah. And anyone ever fight for what's wrong for them? Maybe you feel like, well, I paid for this, I'm going to own it. The problem there is it just keeps you closed off from receiving the good things that are ahead for you. And again, we share these to let you know that there are people out there who are very likely in similar situations to what you're facing. And again, they've quickly moved on to a much, much better life story.
So we're going to actually introduce Cindy. Now, Cindy is someone who's in her 60s. So for those of you who are saying to yourselves like, well, I can't change because I've been doing this for too long. She is a medical professional. She's in her 60s. She had been physically abused, actually had to get the person arrested because that's how physically abusive he was. And she was literally not sleeping. So when she came to us, she was not sleeping at night. She was hyper aware of all of her surroundings, which
Fight
is
or flight mode.
Fight or flight mode, which is why she couldn't sleep. And so again, she came to us, she started talking with me, and she's like, I don't know if you can help, but I think that if anybody can, it's going to be you guys. And so she decided to invest with us and jump in, and I'll let her share a little bit of her story.
Getting out and socializing and, living life, because like I said, I would go to work, I would come home and, everything was closed up and that was it for me. Now I'm living life again and having a blast.
That's awesome.
And that's, I think, and that's like, that literally is what gets David and I so excited. Like, this is why we do what we do, because if we can have, if Cindy can go out there and live her life and be happy and do all these great things. I mean, again, there's that butterfly effect. So there's other people that are seeing you living your best life. They're seeing you make these shifts. The people that you work with when you go to work and patients that you work with, like all these people are noticing that change and how that shifts and changes everybody else. So here's another question for you. I think that a lot of people will say, no matter how old they are, they'll say, it's not possible for me to. And so, of course, I left it to there to say it's not possible for me. And she goes on to say, listen, I used to think that too, but if I'm in my 60s and it's possible for me, I mean, she has a motorcycle. She is going on camping trips. She's doing all sorts of traveling. She's meeting up with people that she has not seen in years. I mean, she is living her best life in her 60s, and she never thought that could have been possible.
Yeah, it's really remarkable to see. And results are typical. She went from a place of, again, that hypervigilance, that fear, having to pay attention to, when the dogs are barking in case someone was coming around the property, and literally an inability to sleep, to what she, I think, described as sleeping like a baby, not in the sense of waking up every 3 hours like your young ones might, but just a deep, peaceful sleep. And even knowing the challenges that she faced with the upcoming court appearances and restraining orders and all that stuff, going from a frantic, terrified state to a sense of, I got this, I'll deal with it when it comes up. What a tremendous sense of freedom, not to feel like your best life is a matter of having no problems, but having the confidence to know that you can handle anything, no matter what comes up. So I love Cindy's story as well.
And so we're gonna have one more, and then we want to have a brief commercial break and then take Q&A. So definitely stick around till the end. We'll probably be another 15, maybe 20 minutes or so. But the next person is Karen. Karen is she is someone who is actually still a current client. And she came to us after she had been through a divorce. She had been married to an alcoholic. She had lived this life where she was trying to figure everything out. And she ended this relationship, and things were still not going well for her. She had done therapy. She had done the families for alcoholics. I mean, she'd done all these different things, and nothing seemed to be working. So she came to us saying, like, I don't know what to do. I really think that I've tried everything, but let's jump in and see. So let's hear from Karen.
Not stuck anymore. And that was just a very painful place to be. And then I've also just doing the work and doing things out of my comfort zone, I've been the meetup, I don't know what you call it. I don't know, expert. I don't know. I've met so many people, and I'm just, starting to live my life and be excited for my future. And I never thought I would get out of that stuck, painful place. So it's great to be on the other side. There's always work to do. I'm still working on myself. I still have all the modules to go through. But like I said, I'm more excited about my future. I'm getting, to that point where, I'm ready to maybe do some informational dating.
And she's excited for her future for the first time, in forever, which is just, again, such a beautiful thing, is to be able to have that excitement, to be able to wake up and say, ooh, what is life going to bring me today? As opposed to, oh, what's life going to bring me today? Now, I'd like to just kind of take a second and just thank, let's see, we've got Leah, Elsa, Cindy, Karen. Just give us some likes and loves. Give a shout out to them for them sharing their stories. And again, these are the types of stories we hear all the time. And sometimes we forget to share those stories, but it's what makes us so excited about what we do, because this is the reason. It's not to talk about all the crap that we've went through. The reason why we do the work is to help everybody that's watching this right now get to those places that everyone you just saw has gotten to, where they're excited, where it's interesting, where there's adventure, where they feel empowered to create something better for themselves. That's what we're here for. That's what all of it is for that reason. The thought of every single person here right now living a life that they, at the end of their time on this planet, can say, oh, that was not only fun, but I lived the heck out of it. And I don't feel like I lost any time. We all lose those moments where we're like, I've spent too much time or whatever, but to look at that time and use that to create something better for ourselves and learn from that. And we can look back and say, wow, that was pretty awesome. That is my hope, for you to come here to be put on this planet what you were born to do, instead of just survive. No regrets. Exactly.
Yeah, 100%. And so, those of you watching might be asking, okay, well, all right, so maybe Stephanie and David aren't special. There are some other women who had these experiences, but what's really the difference? Because if I'm just like them, my life isn't moving forward, then what gives? Well, there's a key piece here. Most, if not all, of the women you've watched, as well as us, have spent years struggling, suffering, seeing therapists, going in and out of these toxic relationships, maybe jumping from one to the next without any time in between to actually take a look at what needs to be healed. Mm-hmm. When they reached a point where they knew that they must change, they started to accept the fact that change can be difficult, it can be uncomfortable, it can be painful. But again, you said no regrets in the comments there. The pain of regret, they recognized was going to be far worse than the temporary pain of breaking these cycles and making the change. They had persevered, tried to get better, hadn't gotten the results they wanted, found us, and first and foremost, they took the time to get to know us a little bit better. Mm-hmm. I always recommend, if you're going to work with a coach, particularly, find someone that you vibe with. Not only that, but find someone who's actually been where you are and now is a representation of the type of person or the type of life that you'd like to be or mm-hmm. have. Mm-hmm. Because again, it's one thing to regurgitate textbook knowledge. With COVID, it seems like everyone went online and became a coach. Mm-hmm. Okay. The fact is, we've been doing this for combined decades, apart and together. So it's definitely important to do that. But for those of you who are wondering, like, okay, what's sort of the secret sauce? If you're still watching, I want to ask your permission to take just a quick commercial break. Stephanie and I have something really exciting that's been cooking. Some of you might have caught wind of this. But before we sort of open it up to Q&A and some chat interaction with you guys, let me know in the comments. Is it okay if we take like 30 seconds, 2 minutes for a quick commercial break?
A real 2 minutes. A real David 2 minutes.
Okay. You gonna set the timer on this?
Set the timer. Okay. We do that for our kids all the time. We set the timer.
All right. We get absolutely. Okay. Cool. So look, those women that you saw have been in what we call our Brilliant Life Blueprint program. It's a hybrid group one-on-one coaching program where they come into our world for 10 weeks. They get one-on-one sessions with us, a private inner circle community. some fantastic tools, accountability coaching, and all that. Over the past 3 years that we've had the Brilliant Life Blueprint program, it has produced dozens, if not hundreds, of life-changing stories. It's been absolutely fantastic. Stephanie and I, however, are not satisfied with that. Even behind the scenes, even off camera, off the clock, we're still growing, we're learning, we're expanding ourselves. And this has been in the works for a while, but we're super psyched to announce our Brilliant Life Blueprint 2.0. Now, we're about smack in the middle of the launch promo. And because this is truly new and improved, enhanced, and also including new material, new tools, and more time with a high touch experience working with us, we're looking for just a small handful of founding members. Now, the spots are already filling up. We've already got 2 people out of the 5 that we're looking for.
Yes, we have 3 spots
already
left.
signed up. And so I'm just going to give you a quick rundown. Again, it's very simply the guidance, the support, and the tools that will make it a virtual certainty. In fact, nearly guaranteed, and we offer a guarantee that your life will transform significantly. So you'll have 12 full weeks with us, virtually unlimited, literally unlimited, virtually 24/7 access to us as coaches. You don't have to wait till the next week or the week after to see your therapist and talk about it. You'll have access to us for unlimited coaching, whether you need guidance, support, advice, a shoulder to cry on. So you'll have us as your personal coaches and mentors to help you along your healing journey. You'll have a private clients only Facebook group. This is a hand-selected group of like-minded women. The people that you surround yourself are so important. You want to be around people who are on the same path. It's a safe, judgment-free zone of absolutely fantastic women like the ones you've seen. So you can have your own tribe to help support you and also celebrate your wins along the way. You have weekly live coaching calls, just like we go live in the big group, as we call it here, every Thursday. Mondays is an exclusive high-level meeting where we get to chat face-to-face, celebrate our wins, talk about any coaching opportunities that are coming up, and also help our clients enhance their mastery of the principles that are going to carry them forward. You have one-on-one deep dive coaching sessions with Stephanie to unpack your baggage. She's excellent with her intuition and education, helping you connect the dots and pave a clear path forward. And then you get into my world with Psyche, which is to identify the subconscious beliefs that are at the root of your unhealthy habits, your chronic stress and anxiety. Literally in a matter of minutes, like editing a Word document, rewrite those programs so you can viscerally feel like the best version of yourself instead of just thinking, oh, I should, or that would be nice. You have the one-on-one coaching calls. You have weekly one-on-one accountability calls. If you're going to hire a coach, definitely go with someone who's going to offer accountability. You'll meet with Stephanie once a week for that 12 weeks to make sure that you course correct as necessary and help you build that momentum. And when you have that type of support, you can make years worth of progress literally in a matter of a few weeks. You'll have lifetime access to our all new, completely redesigned core curriculum in which we take a comprehensive and holistic approach to give you the tools, the guidance you need to enhance your life emotionally, physically, spiritually, socially. It's an all-around comprehensive program that you have lifetime access to. And in fact, we're so confident in how this works. If you don't feel at the end of the 12 weeks or beforehand that you've experienced dramatic shifts in your quality of life, how you feel about yourself and your outlook for the future, we will continue working with you one-on-one for free until you do. The question is it your I must do this time? If that's the case, and we're going to open it up for a chat. If there's any questions, if not, we'll let everyone go. But if you're interested in possibly seeing if this is a good fit, it is a multiple 4-figure investment with the amount of time that we offer. We're not the cheapest coaches out there, frankly, but we're certainly not the most expensive. The reality is, with our years and years of experience, people come to us because they vibe with us and because they want results. So if you've been inspired at all by some of the wonderful after healing stories that you've seen tonight, go ahead and comment, chat in the comments. If you're watching this elsewhere, you can certainly shoot a private message to Stephanie. But let's just have a chat. We have nothing to sell. We're more interested in working with people who are ready to do the work. It's not a magic bullet, But if you're ready to put your old life behind and lock arms with us, there's no telling what you can accomplish.
Yeah, it's really exciting. And I, when I started doing all of this, when I created this community, was because when I went through this process, I felt so alone. And I don't want anybody else to feel that way.
No.
So, to be able to have a community of like-minded people. I mean, my life before I did the work was a lot of people in really shitty relationships. And, they weren't going to be really helpful at helping me to really get to the level that I wanted to get to. And so I really, the free group that we have, the inner circle that we call it, a Brilliant Life Blueprint program, inner circle, the family, it was all part of it is based on my experience and the support and just really being able to let your hair down and share all those feelings that maybe we haven't shared with anybody else, because we're the tough ones. We're the ones who take care of everybody else. And this is your space to really be like, you know what? I need somebody else to take care of me for once. I need someone to come and ask me if I'm okay and listen to me vent for once in my life. And it's hard sometimes to get ourselves out of that shell. So that's really where all of this is coming from. And so on that note, what I'd really like to do is just take 5 minutes. And of course, we'll stay as long as there are questions. But what questions do you have about the new program, about working with us, about healing from toxic relationships?
About have you guys dealt with this before? Because this is my situation and I don't know if I can change.
Feel free to ask the question. And again, if you are watching this live and you're watching this from a place that you can tag us, definitely tag us and ask that question. If you're watching from a place that you can't tag us, just send us a private message and ask the questions. And when we get it, when we're able, we'll go back and answer whatever those questions are.
Yeah. And yeah, Lee is chiming in. Thank you. I was just going to say, I need someone to help me and I need to know how to stop putting others first. Well, yeah, Lee is actually incoming as one of our founding members. And, we've had some great chats, but I don't want to spoil the surprise for you. But like I said, I think this is an important distinction. You can talk to your friends, go to a support group, see a therapist, and get advice. We believe that the answers that you need in order to live your best life experience are within you. So that's why we distinguish between guidance and advice. Now, we can share what's worked for us, right? And we found over the years we've been doing this that there are common themes and certain fundamental principles that you can implement and into your own life for yourself that will give you greater resilience, more peace of mind, and unshakable self-confidence and optimism. But what we really want to know, and that's part of the reason why we keep our group small, so we can get to know you on a personal level, is we want to know what your unique challenges are, what your goals are, what your dreams are, and what your biggest areas of opportunity for change are, right? It's shining a light for you to find your way. And again, knowing that you're not alone, that you got me and Steph and the other wonderful ladies in the inner circle to cheer you along the way, support you, swap stories, and all grow together is absolutely invaluable. So Lee, of course, we're going to roll out the red carpet for you. We're excited for you to come in. And
all the other new members that start. Now, as a former teacher and crisis counselor, it's always been this thing of not being able to truly see someone go. I mean, well, actually I can, but not right away. What I've always loved is later on being able to reconnect with people and see how far they've come and how much they've grown. And I'm going to say this, when I started doing the work, I can tell you right now that never in a million years would I have thought that I would be someone that would be behind the screen where I am right now with this, gorgeous guy teaching all of you how to heal from toxic relationship. But there's also all of these other experiences I could have never imagined either. I mean, since doing the work and healing, now it's like when I start feeling that pull, I now know when to listen to my body, to listen to my gut instinct that's telling me what to do. And so I was lucky enough, I've interviewed Denzel Washington. I actually was in
freaking cool.
Yeah, we've been now on, the New York Weekly. We are the core what do you call it?
The core council of experts of healing from codependency with Avaya University.
Avaya University, which again, like me, this is me, again, from some of you that are feeling that way too.
She's got a weekly cable show.
I got a weekly cable show and I mean, written the books and all that kind of stuff. And then on yesterday, I was invited to the premiere of Happiness for Beginners, which is on Netflix. I'll give them a little plug because I am friendly with the author of it, who's Catherine Center. She's actually has 4 #1 new releases, New York Times new releases right now, or bestsellers, I should say, New York Times bestsellers. She's an awesome woman, but the story is about a woman who was with a really toxic, terrible guy, got a divorce, and then went on this trip to rediscover herself and met a really great guy. So definitely shout out, because I was like, of course I was invited to this screening of this movie. Of course, the actors are all on strike, so we couldn't meet all the beautiful actors that were in it. But again, I never could have imagined that this would just be what happens now. You know, you open it up to that. And of course, that might not be what you want. You might want something completely different. But all of that is what's so cool about this, is that as you do the work and start really, you know, making your life yours, you get to decide. It's not you having everybody else decide for you.
Yeah,
it's you actually deciding your life and how that's going to look like.
Yeah, it's so true. And again, we share this to give you different perspectives. We're not saying that you have to have or want a life exactly like us.
Mm-hmm.
You might not wind up finding your king or queen and starting a business and being on TV and summits and podcasts.
And all of that.
You might only just wake up in the morning feeling, I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I've got this. You know what? For some people, just getting your head back above water is quite literally life-saving.
Mm-hmm.
But I bet you there are more of you, and we've been blessed to work with dozens upon dozens of women who not only found they owe it to themselves to do the healing work, but they owe it to their loved ones, their friends, their family, the people in their sphere of influence. Because for us, sure, it was, you know, a struggle initially before we had the right tools that we now provide to our clients for us to climb out of that dark hole and live a good life. On the other side, now it's our mission, because we understand that the greatest gift that you can give to others and to the world is that of your own healing, your own self-realization. Because, you know, and I, you know, a thought came to mind. I posted in the group the other day. You want the world to change? And a lot of people are sitting there like, this is bullshit with everything that's going on. Change yourself, because you doing the healing work shows other people what's possible, and it gives them permission to do so.
Mm-hmm.
And the bigger picture for us is to impact as many lives as possible, whether it's in our Inner Circle program or free content, one-on-one sessions, or anything in between. Because again, we know from personal experience, this isn't theory. It's not something that we just dreamt up yesterday.
Mm-hmm. We're doing it for years.
Living examples. And again, this is backed up by the literal hundreds of people that we've had the privilege of helping to transform their lives. And investing in yourself in doing this work is going to pay far greater dividends than spending your energy on distractions, on toxic relationships, on, you know, drugs, alcohol.
The best investment
and,
I've ever made in my life to this day is still the investment I made in myself.
Yeah.
You know, and so
you spend a lot more than it costs to work with us. And now you
by
get
a lot.
You get all of our best tools, trainings, and again, the love and care of two people who genuinely you know, care about seeing you succeed. So it's our honor.
And so on that note, I don't see any questions, and that's totally fine.
If
but
you're
we're
watching this
going
as a replay, comment,
Yeah.
you know, we'll circle back. But again, if you're interested in even just having a chat to find out what this might look like, you know, we're not expensive. And again, the cost of not doing the right work to change your life is going to be far more than you could spend on anything else. I guarantee you that. So if any of this intrigues you and you're thinking, oh, okay, you know what, maybe I'll take a chance. I'll put it out there. We have a few more spots. We're still talking to people. And so if you want to have a chat about it, comment chat in the comment section and or shoot Stephanie a private message.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have a chat. We're not selling anything, but we can, you know, see if it makes sense for you to apply for one of these spots before the price of our program goes up by $1,000 after Saturday. And
yeah, you have till Saturday midnight. So just
Yeah.
to know, we have 3 spots, and we're in conversation with 2 people that might take those spots. So definitely do that before then. So it'll close if we get those 3 spots, just to keep in mind, or if not Saturday, whichever comes first.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for joining. Hopefully you found this helpful, inspiring, and informative. We are Stephanie and David. Wherever you're at, we wish you the best. And you know, you don't have time to waste, right? Come on, let's make a change. Partner up with people who are excited to help you get there, because the world needs the best of what you have to offer, as well as you for yourself. And you can't do that if you're still stuck. So let's get unstuck. Let's get moving. And
I'm going to actually let Elsa finish this and say goodbye to all of you. So we'll say goodbye now, but I'm going to let Elsa finish up.
And I refuse to settle. Hey, I don't need anybody in my life. And I refuse to settle for anything less than what I deserve ever again. And it's all thanks to this program.
So on that note, we're going to say thank you for everybody for tuning in, and never forget, you are way stronger than you realize.